welcome to Mom Matters, created by moms for moms. Today we're talking about shifting into a new year. You know, it's a time that can feel hopeful and it can feel overwhelming all at once. Instead of setting big resolutions or pressuring ourselves into change, we're going to be focusing on tiny habits, small, honest choices that help you steady your energy and feel good about being yourself. So today we're joined by Shannon McGuire, founder of Supreme Moms. We also have Chef Nikki from Easy Peasy Kitchen and Toni Hodge, Tea Mistress and owner of Divine Lotus Tea. Welcome to all three of you lovely ladies. I love having a full house here today. Okay. All right, so I want to know though, let's talk about going into the new year. How do you check in with yourself about what you actually need, you know, especially when it comes to mental needs or emotional needs, or maybe just energy-wise? How do you do that check-in?
Yeah, I would say energy. So energy, emotions running through the body. How do I feel?
Yeah.
How am I feeling? And what am I feeling that's a leftover from 25 that I want to repair in 26 even?
Okay. Nikki,
I'm like,
how do you check in?
what?
How do you check in?
Well, I mean, I like that, like what's left over. I think for me, I check in, and if I'm starting to feel emotions, I'm like, is this happening to me? Is it on purpose? Is this the sword I want to die on kind of thing? Like, how much do I want to escalate this versus de-escalate and just be like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so
like-
we do this check-in,
Yeah.
right, at the
Yes.
top of the year. I think a lot of us do.
Yes.
And I think there comes this stress of, okay, it's a new year. I'm now into 2026, right? Okay, it's a new year. You check in, you realize, okay, what am I carrying over from 2025? And then all of a sudden, I think a lot of women get this pressure to be like, oh, I gotta dump that baggage, can't take that with me. I gotta change right now, right now. And it's all of a sudden this like immediate response to, this has to happen now.
Now.
Right? Which is not realistic, right? That's just adding more
Not at
pressure.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about tiny habits though, right? So tiny habits are more sustainable than those big resolutions. Why?
Yeah, I love tiny habits because the tiny habits are what leads to the macro change. So if I can make a tiny habit of cutting sugar for the day, then next thing you know, it compounds. And then my weight loss is tied to
Right.
that. So tiny habits for me are so important because they're doable, they're biteable, and they're more regenerative. So tiny, no big resolutions here. Nah.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm done with like the big resolutions. I want to give more grace, less shame to myself.
I love that.
We're scrolling and we see everything like, oh, that must be nice, but I don't know how long it took them to get there, right?
Right.
I don't know how many pictures it took, like 50 pictures to make that one glamorous picture.
I
and
love the
I'm like,
Instagrams of the moms with the
Oh.
like 12 packs and the chiseled biceps.
And they're like,
you
you
have
know,
6 children.
Yeah.
They're like, how long you been doing that, sister?
Exactly. Like, just
Yeah.
praise for myself. I mean, we talk about like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Totally.
You know, I'm a backpacker. I love to be out in the wilderness. I took some time off from the gym, and then about 3 weeks ago, I'm like, it's time. I got to get back in for me. And so clearing that time, but I didn't want to get in there. I didn't want to be like super sore. And, you know, so I was like, give yourself grace, no shame. And if you can get down there for 10 or 15 minutes, then just build from there. So now I'm up to like 25 minutes. I got
Great.
45 minutes in one day. And that's good. That's good
Yeah.
enough for me because it's that tiny habit. And I love when you're talking about like less sugar in the day. You know, leads to the weight loss, and then just refining what that looks like. Like, oops, maybe that has more sugar than I thought. Okay, well then tomorrow we'll do something different. Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it could be that simple.
Yeah, and I mean, Nikki, I think you kind of maybe answered a part of this, but I just would love to hear from you. How do women know when a habit is actually supporting them opposed to maybe adding some pressure, right? Like, I mean, Toni, I think it's something you might feel.
yeah.
You know, I think it's finding those little spaces where you can take a breath, where you can just, you know, put your hand on your heart or lay your hands down on your lap and just kind of close your eyes and take some deep breaths, understanding that nobody cares. You're the only one
I love
that
it.
cares.
That is so true.
You know, like
Yes.
you're going into this new year and you've got all these expectations, but in reality, you're the only one that this is really
Placing that on yourself.
And if you have a family, especially small children,
Yes.
you know, this is a long haul game.
Oh.
And
marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Give yourself the grace, as you were saying, Nikki, to take it easy on yourself.
Yeah.
I don't do the whole big first of the year expectations. I just let me be just a little bit better on myself for this next year than I was the last.
Because me showing up a little bit better is, for me, is showing up better for then everyone else in my space.
Totally.
Exactly.
And that's what we need. And I love your example of no one cares, because I see people like put these, you know, and I fell for it too, these dinners together out there, and you know, you've got a house guest over and you're like, but I didn't put the spinach in it. Like, I totally forgot the spinach. I ran out. You have no idea that spinach was supposed to be in there.
Exactly.
And you're
No
like,
one knows.
this is delicious.
Yep.
Like, no one cares.
No one knows.
Serve
Yep.
it and then make conversation and enjoy the moment versus worrying.
We're going to continue this because coming up, we're going to be talking about calming habits, you know, small doable moments that you kind of hinted to here, Toni, that help moms regulate their energy in real time. That's when we come right back. And welcome back to Mom Matters. Now, you've just, all of us here just talked about how overwhelming the new year can certainly feel and why tiny habits are more sustainable than big all or nothing resolutions. So now we're actually going to shift into ways that habits, what they actually look like. How do we put this into practice? And Nikki, I think you had a really great example. You were saying how you just started returning to the gym after a little bit of a break. And instead of going all in and like running for an hour on the treadmill and pumping some iron. And really getting yourself exhausted, you're doing this in tiny bites, right?
Yes.
I really want you to help point out why those tiny bites are really important to allow women not to feel overwhelmed when they're already maxed out in the beginning of the year.
Well, I think it's just little steps lead to big accomplishments. And the fact that, you know, if I tried to go in there all at once, the minute it didn't get done, I would feel shame. I would feel like, well, check that off, you know, didn't get that done, you know, and then the rest of the day, and then like the next day, well, I didn't work out yesterday, so I should pop up. It's like, stop. Little tiny achievements. And even if I don't get there, what can I do at home? Maybe 10 squats, air squats, maybe a push-up or two, or, you know, whatever it is. But I've just stopped giving myself shame and allowing more grace. And so just in everything you do, if it's an all or nothing and you don't make the all, now you're just dealing with nothing. And that's not fair.
No.
That's not fair to yourself.
No, and I mean, and Shannon too, let's talk though about like some of these habits that Nikki's talking about. Like what makes them doable?
Yeah, because then we feel the accomplishments and they feel doable when we know it's something we can get done before we close our eyes at night.
Yeah.
Can I get that squat in? Can I get that healthy eating? Maybe I did have too much sugar, but maybe I can have a salad.
Right.
So the doable, the tiny, it just feels good in the body. It feels good in the mind. We don't have as many stories that we tell ourselves.
And good endorphins too are running through our body, and then it kind of starts a chain reaction of the other things.
Feel good. But the other thing about this is that the most important thing is the consistency.
Right.
So doing it a little every day or every other day so that your body gets used to it, because it isn't going to be fun the first few times, even if you're
feeling uncomfortable
reasonably
is
fit.
okay, as long as you're
is.
checking back in with yourself to say, how long does this uncomfortableness work, and am I okay with it, and does it get me where I want to be? I mean, if you want to read a book, you know, you see these people are like, read 5 chapters this week. Well, that's great. I read 2 pages, and that's okay because I'm reading a book, right?
Yes,
And
you're in the habit and you're doing the process and the
thing.
repetition.
Maybe it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Toni, you know, what are some everyday moments though where moms can naturally come back in and check in with themselves throughout this process?
Well, tea comes to mind.
Yes, how about that? My
I tell
favorite.
you, you know, even when my kids were young, I had 3 and 2 of them were 17 months apart. So we went through the whole thing of diapers all at once and blah, blah, blah. And really, I really chose those little moments for myself. If there was a nap, even if it was a short nap, I was doing something for myself, be it writing, sewing, walking, you know, around the yard, or just cup of tea, a little bit of reading, the kids wake up, okay, well, I'm happy. I got something to myself. Also, I think it's really important, and I know this is going to be something where I'm going to get some pushback on this, but just give yourself a few minutes more in the morning. Wake up a little bit earlier.
Yes. Oh,
you know,
yes.
I know that you might be up late with the kids or with the husband. You've got to give everybody
But that
their
you
space.
time, that space for yourself, though, is also
It's so
incredibly
important.
important.
It is so important.
Yes.
So just, you know, set the clock, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes.
Yes, yep. It's golden. It really is golden,
It's hard,
especially when you're
but
able to take that breath. Toni, now I know coming up next, you're actually going to be walking us through a live tea demo.
I am.
It's going to be a tactile look at how a very simple sensory habit can reset your entire nervous system. Welcome back to Mom Matters. We're in the kitchen. All right, so far we've talked about tiny habits and why they create real change. And we've looked at how grounding moments really help calm nervous system. So now we're actually going to see it in action with Toni Hodge. She's going to show us the slow sensory process of making tea and how it could become a very powerful daily reset and practice that we can all incorporate into our daily lives.
Exactly.
Okay, I love this. So Toni, as you steep tea, how does this process actually naturally slow moms down? And I want you to walk us through how you practice this and like how you check in too.
Okay, so when I make tea, I like to really just be really super present. And what that means is, you know, give the tea a smell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Get a
like
sense.
me too.
Yeah.
Get a sense of the aroma.
Yeah.
Take a look at the beauty of the herbs. And these are particularly special because I designed these myself, and so they are made by me. So then the next part of this is to make sure that I'm mindful as I place the tea into the pot.
Okay.
So basically what we're doing here is we're just setting a stage for calm. And this isn't a huge long process. It's 3 minutes, you know, at the most, when you're actually going from beginning to pouring it in your cup.
Okay. So you're pretty intentional as you're doing this.
Very intentional, very intentional. And what you're going to do with a loose leaf tea, it's really not rocket science, so it doesn't really need to be absolutely exact.
Right.
You know, a pinch here, a pinch there.
I love
kind
it.
of thing.
I love it.
As a chef.
I know. I like that.
So what I do is I just put in roughly about a tablespoon in a pot this size. We're serving 4. So
Okay.
for a pot this size, you would put in roughly about a tablespoon. Then comes the water.
Okay.
Okay, so on the water, the temperature for an herbal tea can be boiling. It doesn't matter. In fact, some herbal teas might have roots and seeds and things like that in it. They need more heat in order to break open.
Okay.
So
And to release
that's
the
really
oils.
important.
Okay.
To release those essences. So with this particular tea, we've just got it just below boiling for this one, but it can be boiling. This is just an herbal blend. Now, if you are wanting to drink something with a little bit more pizzazz in it, it might be that you're going to go for a tea that has caffeine, which means you're going to use the tea plant, which is called the Camellia sinensis.
Got it.
All right.
And as you're doing this, though, right, we're talking about temperature, we're talking about texture, we're talking about scent. So this seems to be, you know, a very sensory process, just the
It
whole
is,
process
and
of making tea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even listening to the water pour into the pot.
Or boil, right?
Or boil.
Yeah.
It's this music that's happening.
Oh, it's so
all
beautiful.
around you.
Oh, okay. And then now I'm
I
smelling
think even
the.
appreciating all the different colors that are coming
Yes.
out of the pot.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a nice
exactly.
observation.
Really pretty.
Nikki. And then like the
Exactly.
smell, the aroma, right? So I imagine as we're focusing on all those senses during the process, right? The warmth of the water, the warmth of the pot, Nikki, like you mentioned, the color, the texture, the smell, that helps regulate our nervous system a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this particular setup even brings it further down into the heart.
Okay.
Fire.
Oh, lovely. What are we doing with that?
All right. So what you're doing is you're silently lighting a flame.
Oh, I like that. Symbolism
And
here.
what happens?
Yes.
Your tea turns into a lantern.
Oh, beautiful.
That is pretty.
Oh, I like that. I just got little goosies when you did that. That's so good.
Love
Yeah,
all the
you know,
elements at
I
play.
love to
Okay.
play with the tea, and I love to have the experience of all the essences that, what we've got water,
Yeah.
we've got plant matter,
Yeah.
we've got fire now.
Yeah, yeah, I like the elements. You're getting all the elements
Yes,
in here.
yes.
Yeah,
It's
so
got
it's
that
like a
sense
nice
of
little
smell.
practice. It's like a little morning ritual for yourself.
Exactly, and you're using all your senses.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you pour some tea.
All right.
And as you do that, Toni, help us just realize how quick this really can be. Because I know, because we talked too about tiny habits, right? Habits that are doable, that aren't overwhelming. They're not going to overmax women who are already maxed, right? Nikki, right? Shannon?
Yes.
Right? Okay. How easy is this in the morning?
So in reality, this is a 4 to 5 minute process.
Oh my gosh, see?
Okay.
Love
Yes.
You know,
Doable.
you've got your pot. It's sitting on the counter already. You've got your hot water either in a kettle. If you don't have an electric kettle, that's okay. You can take one of your saucepans
Oh,
and add boiling water to that and pour it in your mug. Use a tea bag if that's what you've got. You can actually get tea bags that you load yourself, so you can still get the essence of a
Loose
beautiful loose leaf tea and still just use a mug.
Love
it can
it.
be so simple.
Hey, I'm gonna slide this on over.
Thank
and one more
you.
touch before we tease to the next thing. Thank you so much. The saucers and the cups are absolutely gorgeous.
That's so pretty.
So
They're
why
a little
not just go
vintage.
that little extra mile and treat yourself, right?
Love it.
You know,
And pour it into
yeah.
something that you enjoy.
Yes.
When we do our events, Shannon and I bring a bunch of different vintage cups and I let everyone pick their own cup.
I love that.
And it gives you something personal that brings the
Yes.
specialness
And a little personality.
into
Exactly.
your experience.
This is fun. I see why this is Shannon's favorite blend. Toni, thank you for sharing with us your
Yes.
ritual, and hopefully this is also a great way for someone to kind of take that moment as we head into 2026. You know, coming up though, we're going to turn everything that we've talked about also into a simple New Year tool, one that will help you feel better and create some great habits in a line for 2026. That's when we come right back. Welcome back to Mom Matters. We started with why tiny habits matter, and then we talked about grounding moments that bring calm, and we just experienced one through Toni's tea demo. So now we're bringing it all together with a tool that helps moms choose a feeling for the year and connect it to one small habit that they actually can maintain through the year. That's the important thing, right? Toni mentioned it's about consistency as well as choosing the right habit. All right. So Shannon, why do intentions create stronger, more sustainable habits than resolutions actually do, which we've been demystifying this entire time? You don't need a resolution, you just need an intentional habit.
Yes.
Yeah, intention is just so simple because it's action, right? We talked a lot about taking these tiny habits and moving them forward, and it comes down to the decisions we make. Are we being considerate of the decisions we make moment to moment to moment? Because that rolls up into the larger sphere. So intention over resolution. What tiny decision can I make now? And that's what our tool is about today. It's about being considerate in the decisions we make.
Okay, and then when we're intentional with this specific habit, how do we pick that habit that we know that's going to support us throughout the year? And we're looking at that toolkit too, by the way, that you've created here.
Yeah.
Shannon. So tell us what we're looking at and tell us how to help pick that habit.
Yeah, first checking in with yourself and going, wait, am I being considerate as I'm making my decisions? What is this decision? How does it feel in my body? Yes, there's discomfort that it starts with, but is it going to be worth it for me to continue this over and over? So starting with the play, going, what is working well? What do I want to keep doing? What do I need to stop doing? Because that may feel good in the moment, but the consequence after, no bueno. And then what do I need to pause and bring more intentionality into? What do I really need to be deciding in this moment to reach the intention that I've set for myself? And so going into the new year with an intention versus resolution, and then you can break that down by season, by month, and make it biteable. And for me, tea is my go-to. I wake up early, I make my tea, it sets my intention for calm and ease for the day, which gives me a calm and ease through the year. So it's so important to, what do we do that we want to continue? What do we want to stop? And where do we need more pause?
Yeah, so the practice of the tea, like we just did with Toni, is kind of your moment for your check-in, right? It's that appointment you've made for yourself every day. It's those extra minutes, Toni, that you're like, you've got to set that aside for yourself just to check in and ground, if you will. I want to thank all of you so much for being here, for sharing a bit of your story and how you do what you do to make sure that you're staying grounded and moving forward properly into 2026 to be the best you. And we certainly hope that we've shared with you some tools and practices that will help you as well so you can prosper into 2026. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Yay. Hey, let's have some.